for the enemy on the horizon. Look to the water and listen to the earth. At first, it is only a vibration in the soles of your sandals, a rhythm, a heartbeat of wood and iron that travels through the bedrock of the valley. It disturbs the resting scorpions beneath the stones. It shakes the dust from the mane of the horse. It is the sound of the world trembling. The desert does not keep secrets, but the wind is a liar. To the west, the sun is blotted out, not by clouds, but by a rising wall of gray matter. It churns, roiling like a storm front, swallowing the acacia trees, swallowing the light. It is the breath of 5,000 beasts exhaling at once. There is no warning, there is no honor. There is only the sudden, deafening shriek of chariots colliding at full speed. The sky turns to ash, and the river turns to red. Witness the day the world broke. Hours earlier, the heat of the Syrian afternoon hangs heavy over the Orontes Valley. It is a wet, suffocating heat, thick with the smell of river mud and crushed reeds. The Amun Division marches north, a golden snake of 20,000 men, their sandaled feet kicking up a lazy haze of dust. We thought the war was days away. We thought we were the hunters. Shields are slung over backs, helmets hang from saddle hooks. The bronze scales of their armor are unbuckled to let the sweat evaporate from their chests. They are not an army ready for the slaughter. They are men walking in their sleep, lulled by the rhythm of the river and the arrogance of their commanders. An empire on the move is a city without walls. The logistics of the march are staggering. Ox carts groan under the weight of grain sacks and disassembled tents. Water carriers struggle under clay amphorae. The sounds are domestic, almost peaceful. They believe they are the apex predators of the ancient world. But the land is conspiring against them. To their right, the river Orontes flows wide and fast. To their front, the city of Kadesh sits upon its mound, a silent, white-walled sentinel. Behind the city, hidden by the curvature of the hill and the forests of the floodplain, the trap is set. The Hittite king Muwatalli has not fled north. He is here. He is a coiled viper, waiting for the boot to land. Riding ahead of the column is the Pharaoh, Ramesses. He is young, barely in his 20s. His face is unlined, his eyes bright with the hunger for glory. He rides high in his electrum-plated chariot, the solar disk glittering on his chest. He looks at the empty horizon and sees only his own legend being written. He is a god on earth, but gods do not bleed. And today, he will learn the color of his own blood. The birds stop singing. The wind dies. The surface of the river becomes glass. In the sudden stillness, a horse ears prick up. A soldier stops mid-stride, his hand drifting to the hilt of his khopesh. The silence is not empty, it is heavy. It is the deep intake of breath before the scream. They come from the river. 2,000 Hittite heavy chariots launch themselves across the ford. These are not the light, agile skiffs of Egypt. These are tanks of the Bronze Age. 3 men to a cab, solid wood wheels. They hit the water like a landslide, sending geysers of mud and foam into the air. Chaos is the only true ruler of the battlefield. They strike the center of the marching Roar Division, cutting the army in half. It is not a battle. It is an amputation. The Egyptian column shatters instantly. Men are trampled before they can draw their weapons. The formation dissolves into a panic stampede of terrified horses and screaming infantry. The physics of the collision are grotesque. When a heavy chariot strikes a man at 30 miles per hour, the body does not fly, it disintegrates. Bronze axles shear through leather shields. Wheels crush rib cages into the mud. The air is filled with the sickening crunch of impact, a biomechanical symphony of breaking wood and snapping bone. The dust rises instantly, a thick, choking powder that turns the midday sun into a dim, bloody ghost. Visibility drops to the length of a spear. Soldiers strike at shadows. A brother kills a brother in the gray blindness. The fog of war is literal here, a grit that fills the eyes, the nose, the throat, until you are drowning in dry earth. The walls of the camp were meant to keep out lions. They cannot keep out the storm. The Hittite wave crashes into the Egyptian camp. Tents are flattened. The unfinished walls of shields are swept away. The enemy is everywhere and nowhere. Ramesses is cut off. His personal guard is dead or scattered. The Amun Division is routed. He stands alone in his chariot, the golden plating dented, the reins slick with sweat and blood. He looks left, dust. He looks right, death. The soundscape is a solid wall of noise. The screaming of the horses is the most piercing. Beneath it, the low roar of the Hittite advance. Ramesses can hear his own heart hammering against his ribs, louder than the drums of war. Fear is the death of the king. To survive, the man must die. A Hittite chariot turns toward him. 3 warriors raise their spears. The king is surrounded by 2,500 chariots. There is no escape. The prophecy of his greatness is about to be buried in the mud of a foreign river. The weight of eternity presses down on his chest, demanding an answer. Something snaps within the Pharaoh. The boy who played at war vanishes. The fear evaporates, replaced by a cold, reptilian fury. He wraps the reins around his waist, binding himself to the vehicle. He draws his bow, not with the grace of a courtier, but with the savage tension of a cornered lion. I call to you, my father Amun. I am alone amidst the multitude. My soldiers have forsaken me. My charioteers have fled. Where are you? Is the work of your son nothing to you? It is not a prayer of submission. It is a challenge, a demand. He screams at the heavens, his voice cracking with dust and rage, daring the gods to let him die. He does not retreat, he charges, but not at the wall of chariots. He turns his horses toward the only open space, the river. He drives the chariots straight at the banks of the Orontes, forcing the heavy Hittite vehicles to turn and chase him into the soft, treacherous mud. From the north, a dust cloud appears. The Niran, the elite force from the coast, have arrived. They strike the Hittites in the flank. The hunters become the hunted. The rhythm of the battle stutters, then reverses. The Hittite heavy chariots, bogged down in the mud, cannot turn to meet this new threat. The water does not wash away the sin. It swallows it. Panic seizes the Hittite army. They are pushed back into the river they just crossed. The Orontes becomes a graveyard. Men in heavy bronze armor fall into the deep water and sink like stones. Horses thrash in the current, tangling in the reeds. The brown water swirls with pink, then red, then black. For hours, they kill. until arms are too heavy to lift swords, until the wheels are clogged with flesh. The sun begins to dip below the western hills, casting long, bruised shadows across the valley. The thunder of the chariots finally fades into a ragged, gasping silence. The camera pushes in on Ramesses. He sits amidst the wreckage. His golden armor is dull with gore. His face is a mask of dried mud and blood spatter. He is alive, but his eyes are old. They have seen the machinery of death, and they will never be young again. The silence returns, but it is not the silence of peace. It is the silence of the grave. Flash forward. The stone walls of the Ramesseum. We see the carvings, deep, precise lines in sandstone. A giant pharaoh holding a dozen tiny enemies by their hair. The inscription screams of a total divine victory. I defeated them alone, the stone says. They fell before my horses like chaff. But stone can lie. In the archives of the Hittites and in the halls of Egypt, a silver tablet was forged, a treaty. Peace and brotherhood forever. It was not a victory. It was a stalemate, a draw written in blood and sealed in silver. The camera pulls back up through the layers of time. The chariots dissolve, the blood fades, the cries vanish. We are left with a grassy mound in modern Syria. The wind blows to the empty fields. There is no gold here, only the earth. Remembering the thunder, we carve our triumphs in stone, hoping the future will believe us. But the earth remembers the truth. The stone remembers the king. But the mud remembers the men.